it's really important to come here and try and share the experience that we've had, but also to try and help to explain what we're doing in space and why we're doing it and why it's helping people here back on Earth.
It's one thing to read about it, watch the TV about these things, but to actually meet the people and to hear it firsthand from them, it's just so brilliant to have the real thing in front of you.
I think so many people have been engaged with Tim's mission over the course of the last 6 to 8 months that it's fantastic for him to have the chance to come back and say thank you to them for that support over the course of 6 months in space. It means a lot.
We get involved in all of these kinds of tests, and there was one called airway monitoring where we used the airlock. We actually, Tim and I both had to go inside the airlock, reduce the pressure in there, and then do some tests on the amount of nitric oxide that our bodies were producing.
So when you read on the internet about what it's like in space, you see all the normal details, but this was the proper technical aspects of what it's like to actually run an experiment in space.
So you have this probe and you're looking at a screen and you're looking at your blood flow, your muscles, your arteries.
Are you squeamish?
No.
So it's a privilege to be here this evening and to inspire people of all ages, not just young people who could go on to study science subjects, but also people who might be slightly further along in their life to actually help them understand why space matters, how it's shaping our world and what's going to happen in our space future.
That's why Tim was in space. It's about the science, and so it's important for people to be able to talk about that, because without talking about it, without becoming familiar with what he's doing in space, why we have this most expensive floating laboratory that mankind's ever created, it becomes a bit inaccessible. But what happens when you talk about it is you learn a little bit more, you understand that his 9 to 5, his long hours and the hundreds of experiments that he did while he was on the space station.
My favorite thing was what it smelled like in space, because I thought that was a stupid question and I didn't have the guts to ask it, and then all of a sudden I find out that everybody cares about it.
Almost like a burnt metallic, an ionizing kind of smell.
So space smells metally.
Yeah, with a bit of Marmite thrown in.
I think it's important to tell stories about why we're doing what we do, and often people take for granted what we're doing in space. So they think we've been to Mars already, that humans have walked on Mars, and we haven't. We're only just starting to explore.
We're now stretching to the moons of Saturn and Jupiter, and wow, I mean, to think that planet or moons like Europa with icy crusts could have liquid oceans beneath them, and we could be sending landers to those kind of locations. They're very exciting missions too.
One of the best things about space is all the things you can imagine will eventually happen, and then all the things you can't imagine will happen also.
Looking to the future, it's incredibly exciting. We've probably got space station operations going out till 2024, maybe a little bit longer, but we're really in the phase now where we're starting to plan those next missions to asteroids, a return to the moon, missions to Mars.
The perspective that they gain and they share with us about the world also has an emotional dimension to it, because they are taking the top view, the big view.
I think there's this inherent piece in all of us that wants to explore, and it brings out the best in all of us.
Thank you very much.